Lesson 6. Revival of the Papacy and America. Rev. 13. What were the common points of the two beasts in Revelation 13? 1. First beast, a complex beast. Revelation 13:1, 2. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave him his power, and his seat, and great authority. 2. Second beast, the lamb-like beast. Revelation 13:11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon. The common points of two beasts: the first beast was given power by the dragon over all nations, and the second beast spoke like a dragon. Both beasts were related to the dragon, which represents Satan. Therefore, the two beasts in Revelation 13 indicate earthly powers that get their power from Satan. What are the relationships between the first beast and the other 4 beasts in Daniel 7? The appearance of the first beast. Beast was a combination of the 4 beasts in Daniel 7. The first was described as a complicated beast with no name. When we look at this strange beast, we know this beast was a combination of the 4 heads of the beast in Daniel 7. Relationship between the 4 beasts in Daniel 7 and the first beast in Revelation 13. Because of the description of the beast, one is reminded of the beasts in Daniel. The first beast in Revelation has all the characteristics of the 4 beasts in one body. Once again, there's a reminder that there is a relationship between the little horn in Daniel and the beast presented in Revelation. The common points between the little horn in Daniel 7 and the first beast in Revelation 13. What power did the first beast symbolize? The beast in Revelation that relates to the book of Daniel. The first beast in Revelation 3 has the same characteristics as the beast in Daniel 7. Daniel 7 is about the little horn, which was represented as the Church of Rome. Because of their similarities, the beast in Revelation 13 can also be assumed to be the Church of Rome. Dan 7:12. The other beasts had been stripped of their authority, but were allowed to live for a period of time. The advance notice of the little horn's resurrection. Dan 7:12 explains that allowed to live means though the power has fallen, the spirit will remain, giving it the ability to re-emerge as the first beast in Revelation 13. It will have all the characteristics from the little horn, which was the 4th beast presented in Daniel 7. Daniel 7 prophesies the reappearance of the papacy. The first beast represents the Roman Church. Through historical evidence, it is obvious that Satan used the Roman Empire, as well as the Roman Church, to pursue his will. The power which appears in Revelation 13, who received the throne authority and influence from the dragon, also known as Satan, is the Roman Church that came out from the Roman Empire. It was no longer a little horn. When the Roman Church was first established, it was weak in religious power. However, it did not remain weak. Just as the prophecy said, it has gained enormous power, greater than many countries. This prophecy is being fulfilled as we watch. Why is the papacy revealed as a combination of 4 beasts in Daniel 7? The distinctive characteristics of the 4 beasts, the characteristics of the 4 countries. The combination of the 4 beasts have the distinctive characteristics of the 4 beasts, and also its power has all the characteristics of the 4 countries. Why it appeared as a combination of the four beasts. It is because the little horn that appeared after the four beasts, four countries, has been influenced by their culture, religion, and politics. It is very similar to Korea. Korea once was governed by Japan, so some Japanese words still being used in the Korean language. We see this in names of certain foods and architectures. History has proved it. After studying history, we know that after Babylon, lion, was Medo-Persia, bear, then Greece, leopard, and Rome, beast with 10 horns on its head. We know that, during the Dark Ages, the Roman Church had enormous authority in the world and acquired the distinctive features of the four countries. The characteristics of the pagan countries. What were the characteristics and roles of the first beast? Due to the limited space in this book, it is not possible to go in depth. We will only sum up the important points. For those who want to study more about this, please get the lesson study of Revelation, published by the Bible Correspondence School Voice of Hope. 1. The deadly wound was healed. One of the heads of the beast seemed to have had a fatal wound, but the fatal wound had been healed. Revelation 13:3. The fall and restoration of the papacy. In the year 1798, Pope Vi was taken captive by one of Napoleon's subordinates, and the Roman Church lost its power. Most historians thought that the time of the Pope's reign had come to an end. But in Revelation 13, it foretells that the fatal wound would be healed. Restoration of the Roman Church. 1. In 1815, it rose up again with the fall of Napoleon in Europe. 2. In 1814, Clement VII restored the Jesuits and their functions that had been annulled by Pope Pius XIII in 1773. 3. The restored Jesuits permitted Pope Pius VIII to proclaim the doctrine of the Holy Mother's Immaculate Conception in 1854 without a church board meeting. 4. Infallibility of the Pope was proclaimed by the Vatican on the 18th of July, 1870, through the influence of the Jesuits. 5. With the Lateran Treaty Agreement by Pope Pius XI and Mussolini of Italy in 1929, the Roman Church acquired 108 acres of territory, for the Pope and the Vatican. They currently have over 1 billion church members and are sending many ambassadors to numerous countries. The Roman question tonight was a thing of the past, and the Vatican was at peace with Italy. In affixing the autographs to the memorable document, healing the wound which has festered since, extreme cordiality was displayed on both sides. Lateran Treaty was inserted in the San Francisco newspaper. The location of the Vatican in Rome. Red area. Mussolini and Gasperi dealing with Cardinal agreement. The whole world is following the strange beast. The whole world follows the Pope. Since 1929, when the Roman Church restored the Vatican and acquired enormous power through the Lateran Treaty, many people follow the Pope. The twinkling star that is brightening the whole world. When Pope John Paul II visited America in 1979, one American newspaper said, "For the Pope to visit is like one imagining being struck by lightning." Now, for the first time in history, the first Polish Pope, Pope John Paul, is visiting for 7 days in America. He is keeping his promise to visit, a year after he won the election, known as the twinkling star in the Earth's sky. Politicians are competing to prepare a welcome for him. The governors of 6 states stopped their affairs of state to prepare a welcoming event. Washington Star. September 18, 1979. The man who possesses the greatest power. An article from the Reader's Digest wrote the following with an attached photograph, February 1996. No one can forget the image of the Pope after they have seen him. Many are moved just by seeing him. No one in this world possesses power like him. The outstanding Protestant pastor Billy Graham went so far as to say, "He is the conscience of all Christians around the world." The origin of the Pope's ability and power. How can a Pope obtain such great power without any help of a military or being a president of a country? We must carefully study the following Bible verse. Men worshipped the dragon because he had given authority to the beast, and they also worshipped the beast and asked, "Who is like the beast? Who can make war against him?" Rev. 13-4. An arrogant mouth works for 42 months. Rev. 13-5. The beast was given a mouth to utter proud words and blasphemies and exercises his authority for 42 months. The arrogant words and blasphemies. It has a similar meaning to the little horn with a mouth that spoke boastfully in Daniel 7. The origin of the word arrogant comes from the original Greek, translated as blasphemy, which means disrespect and profanity. The Bible mentions two types of acts as insulting and disrespectful. First, a man conducts himself as equal to God, and second, asserting that a man has the authority to forgive sins. John 10:35, Luke 5:21 reference. You will understand this in full context when you see the following comments made about the authority of the Pope. We occupy the position of God in this world. Pope Leo XIII Encyclopedia, p.304. Only the Pope can be called the holiest, holy sovereign, supreme emperor, and king of the kings. By belonging to that extent of the biggest majesty and authority, the Pope can be one with Jesus Christ and behold identical judgment. So, whatever the Pope has done, it is considered as the word spoken by the Lord. Pope, Ferraris, Ecclesiastical Dictionary. Questions and answers about the Sacrament of Confession. Q2. What is the Sacrament of Confession? A2. It is a sacred ceremony of a priest forgiving people from their sins in God's stead. Q3. Does the priest truly forgive sins or just declare that the sins are forgiven? A3. The priest truly forgives sins with the authority given by Christ. Q4. Who are given the authority to forgive sins in the Sacrament of Confession? A4. The bishops and vicars of the Catholic Church are given the authority. Joseph Herb, A Full Catechism of the Catholic Religion, pp. 275, 150. The authority to rule for 42 months. When the Apostle John saw the revelation, it was a future event, but for us, it is in the past. As long as we apply it to the present age, it means that the authority, the papacy, which had persecuted God's people for 42 months, will reappear and persecute God's people at the end of time. How will all the inhabitants of the earth be classified into two groups? Revelation 13:8. All inhabitants of the earth will worship the beast. All whose names have not been written in the book of life belonging to the Lamb that was slain from the creation of the world. According to the prophecy of Revelation 13, all inhabitants of the earth will be classified into two categories. 1. Those who worship the beast. 2. Those whose names have been written in the book of life belonging to the Lamb. 1. The inhabitants who worship the beast, the papacy. Will the whole world submit to the papacy? According to this prophecy, all inhabitants will worship the beast, except the true followers of God. Is it possible? Buddhists, Islam, Hindus, Protestants, Greek Catholics, and socialist countries are going to submit to the authority of the Roman Church? Surprisingly, it is being accomplished even though it seems impossible. The brilliant achievements of Pope John Paul II. John Paul II, who became Pope in 1978, made great contributions to the strengthening of the Church's influences in the world and enhancing Catholicism. During 1979 to 2000, he made 92 trips visiting 114 countries. The following photographs are from some of the Pope's trips. Visiting Korea. Buddhism leader. Islam. Lutheran Church. Memorial services celebrating Martin Luther's 500th birthday were held by Lutheran churches on 11th of December 1983. Romania's Orthodox Church. Secretary of the State of the United States. PLO Arafa. The Anglican, English, Church. Judaism. The Greek, Eastern, Orthodox Church. Russia. UN. The effort to unite the religions of the world. The Pope has been visiting countries, focusing on the central task of uniting religion and politics. As these efforts have made progress, the influence of the Pope has also progressively increased. In October 1999, the Pope invited the world's 5 religious leaders, who lead over 4 billion people, to discuss a cooperative plan for the future of Vatican City. World religious leaders gathered together and discussed future cooperation before the 21st century and new millennium comes. There were about 200 religious leaders including the Catholics, Protestants, Buddhists, Muslims, Hindus, from 25th in October 1999. They were invited by John Paul II to have an assembly in the St. Peter's Basilica at the Vatican. Two. The inhabitants whose names have been written in the Book of Life. Revelation 3:5. He who overcome like them, be dressed in white. I will never blot out his name from the Book of Life, but will acknowledge his name before my Father and his angels. The victorious who endure patiently and overcome the hardships. The followers of God need to be patient. Especially at the end of time, because the beast will cause great persecution and tribulation. If anyone is to go into captivity he will go. If anyone is to be killed with the sword he will be killed. This calls for patient endurance and faithfulness on the part of the saints. Rev 13:10. Choosing one of the alternatives. Father Salvador of San Mexico said, "The Protestant Church has no foundation. One of the reasons is that they are not keeping the Sabbath. The time is drawing near for them, either to unify with the Seventh-day Adventist Church, or the Catholic Church, which has the authority to change the day of worship from Saturday to Sunday." San Francisco Chronicle, September 1950. What country does the second beast represent? Revelation 13:11. Then I saw another beast, coming out of the earth. He had 2 horns like a lamb, but he spoke like a dragon. The beasts contrast with the first one. This beast is totally different, both in where it originates, and in appearance. It didn't come out of the sea but the earth. This beast, unlike the other terrifying and blasphemous beasts with 10 horns, emerges with a gentle appearance like a lamb. It has 2 horns, but no crown. The beast that emerged out of the earth. The location where the lamb-like beast emerged was the earth, which contrasts with the sea. The sea symbolizes the world, where there are multitudes of people, Isaiah 8:7, 8:17-12, 13. The earth where not many people live, is the opposite of the sea. So this unexplored wilderness, is the new continent America. The meaning of the 2 horns. Horn symbolizes nation or royal authority power, Daniel 7:24. So, the 2 horns mean, the concept of freedom as the national foundation of the United States, and the authority of the people stated plainly in the Constitution of America. 1. The concept of democracy, a democratic state without a king. The nation is of the people, by the people, and for the people. 2. The concept of the right of religious liberty, nation without the sovereign. Congress shall not establish a law that prohibits religious liberty or establish any religion. Lamb, the Christian spirit of America in its early days. Like John said after he saw Jesus, "Look, the Lamb of God, who takes away the sin of the world." John 1:29. America started as a country, with religious freedom based on the spirit of the Constitution. This spirit of America can be represented by the Statue of Liberty. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. Speaks like a dragon. America, represented by the innocence of a lamb, and a Christian mentality, in the end will change and speak like the dragon, Satan, and end up helping the first beast, the papacy. Through what processes does America conspire with the papacy? The neighbors who can't get along. The relationship between the Roman Church and America was not close. America was founded by people who escaped Europe to avoid religious persecution from the papacy. So how could America and the papacy conspire with one another? This was a prophecy that didn't make sense at first, but now we can see how it can be accomplished. The meeting between Reagan and the Pope. Reagan, the President of United States of America, and Pope John Paul II had met in Vatican City in 1982. They had a confidential meeting and the secret was kept for over a decade. The article in Times Magazine reported all the details about their meeting in the February 24, 1992. The title of the article was called Holy Alliance, meaning that they formed an alliance with one another. The survivals of 2 gunshots. The dialogue in the library of Vatican City began with them discussing their shooting incidents. The Pope got shot in 1981, and 6 weeks later, Reagan was targeted as well. The world's attention was on them, and since then the two began to build a friendship. In 1982, they were able to meet. Reagan and John Paul II had a special conversation during their first meeting. It was on how they survived from the conspiracies to kill them, which had occurred during a 6-week interval in 1981. Both of them believed that God had saved them in order to accomplish His special mission. Therefore, they acknowledged their survival as a miracle. Time: February 24, 1992. Plotting up the assassination. The following article was reported in the Chosen newspaper in August 8, 1994. The assassination of Pope John Paul II in 1981 was plotted by the leaders of the Vatican. It is said that the dignitaries had ordered Icci to shoot the Pope, but to not kill him. The Pope meets Icci, who had shot at him in 1981. Holy Alliance. Through this incident the two were able to meet and achieve important missions, such as changing the history of the world and the modification of the world map. Since their meeting and alliance, the communist bloc of Eastern Europe began to fall. Starting from the Pope's homeland, Poland, the communist bloc was destroyed in a short period, and the Soviet Union, which had been the stronghold of communism, has collapsed as well. Pope changed the history of Eastern Europe. The acquirers of the two allied nations. By destroying the communist bloc, the Roman Church was able to have millions of Catholic followers, who were under the rule of the communist bloc, and America became the only superpower to control the world without reservation, no longer having the Soviet Union as its rival. The exchange of ambassadors in 1984. After the alliance, not only did America ally with the Roman Catholic Church and publicly further the ecumenical movement, but the Vatican also formally accepted the first American ambassador, William A. Wilson. World newsmaker Carl Bernstein, who exposed the Watergate scandal, said in his book that John Paul II and President Reagan made a secret alliance, and they caused communism to fall. Bernstein and Italian journalist Marco Politi, co-writer of the book His Holiness, John Paul II and the Hidden History of Our Time. In this book they claimed that President Reagan and William Casey, former director of the CIA, gave sensitive and secret information to the Pope. Not only that, they claimed that the Reagan administration and the Pope made a holy alliance in the spring of 1981. Casey and Vernon Waters, vice director of the CIA, secretly visited the Vatican 15 times within 6 months. What is the role of the second beast that had helped the first beast? Revelation 13:12. He exercised all authority of the first beast on his behalf, and made the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, whose fatal wound had been healed. America will take the lead to help Catholic. Although America begun with a hostile relationship with the papacy, it is foretold that America will help and support the papacy in the end of time. Today, we can witness fulfilling of this prophecy. The following sentences were spoken by President Clinton to the Pope in St. Louis, when he visited America in January 26, 1999. You will see an America that is not simply living for today but working for future generations. An America working harder to be what you have asked us to be, an example of justice and civic virtues, freedom fulfilled and goodness at home and abroad. Yung Eng Newspaper, January 28, 1999. It is not exactly clear in what aspects Clinton helped the Pope, but he also didn't have any idea about the prophecy made in Revelation. Now, we shall study in what ways America will become an aid to the Roman Church. 1. The miraculous sign that caused fire to come down from heaven. Revelation 13:13. He performed great and miraculous signs, even causing fire to come down from heaven to earth in full view of man. Fabrication of false miracles. The Lamb that will speak like a dragon, will attempt to deceive. What is the miracle of fire coming down from heaven? In the Bible, it is clearly told that the fire that comes down from heaven is God's fire. God lit fire on the altar of Abel and of Elijah. Forcing fire to come down from heaven is nothing but Satan's deception. Confusing with spiritualism. The fire often symbolizes the Holy Spirit in the Bible, Mount 3:11, Act 2-3. The word spiritualism is defined as pulling down a god. Also by spiritualistic mediums with Satan's spirit, it will deceive people. However, if man cannot recognize the deception of Satan, and believe that the forms of their deceased beloved ones are before them, they will surely fall into his hands. Beginning of modern spiritualism. Modern spiritualism has expanded into a huge movement, since John D. Fox's family started experimenting with it at the Hydesville in New York. Spiritualism has been popularized in America through the New Age movement, mixing Western and Eastern mysticism. The New Age movement has grown rapidly for 20 to 30 years. Currently, they emphasize speaking with spirits as the method that connects this world to the spirit world. Communicating with the spirit world is the perfect deception. The reason they have been accepted is the increasing numbers who are ignorant of the Bible. It is impossible for Orthodox Christians and psychomancy to coexist. Special Report, Religious News Service, August 24, 1987. p.9. Various forms of spiritualism. Spiritualism enters into human society through many forms, such as psychical science, New Age, yoga, astrology, supernatural power, etc. There are many people, including entertainers, politicians, and economists, who are involved in spiritualism. In order to avoid the delusion of spiritualism, spiritualism is based on the immortality of the human soul. If man has this belief, Satan will use it as his foundation to deceive. To avoid being deceived by these manifestations at the end time, we must know the truth that when man dies, he returns to dust. A great number of people believe in the immortality of the soul. This problem will be discussed more in later chapters. Spiritualism, a prominent sign of the end. When Protestantism shall stretch her hand across the gulf to grasp the hand of the Roman power, when she shall reach over the abyss to clasp hands with spiritualism, when, under the influence of this threefold union, our country shall repudiate every principle of its constitution as a Protestant and Republican government, and make provision for the propagation of papal falsehoods and delusions, then we may know that the time has come for the marvelous working of Satan, and that the end is near. 5t 451. A person can levitate or be drawn up to the ceiling by psychokinesis, a strange spiritualistic power. Those who are involved in spiritualism will easily fall prey to Satan's deceptions. 2. Making an image to the beast and giving it power. Revelation 13:14. He ordered the inhabitants of the earth to set up an image in honor of the beast who was wounded by the sword and yet lived. The beast that was wounded by the sword and yet lived. All evidence telling us that the first beast appeared in Revelation 13 is the papacy. Once again, the image in honor of the beast in Revelation 13 is the lamb-like power. It helped the papacy and gave power to the Roman Church. What is an image? Image is called icon in Greek. Icon also means resemblance and shape. In this context it means resembling in shape or one's other self. Thus the image to the beast is a replica of the beast itself. The first beast, the papacy, of Revelation 13 is portrayed as a persecuting power, which combines both political and religious powers. The image of the beast, then, must be a religious and a political power, claiming authority to persecute God's followers and enforce the rule of the papacy. The image to the beast identifies an organization having the spirit of the papacy. It also has the power to support the policies and activities of the Roman Church. When religious groups use political influence to gain their objectives, they are making an image to the beast. Therefore, the image to the beast represents apostate Protestantism, which will be developed when the Protestant churches shall seek the aid of the civil power for the enforcement of their dogmas. The mark of the beast. GC 445. Giving the image the power of speech. There are plenty of active Christian groups seeking political power in America. In the future, their influence will increase and they will accomplish their purposes through political power. Soon the United States will force the law against the liberty of conscience and freedom of religion, by allowing the religious power to gain political support, thus they will discard their pure Puritan heritage. (3) Forcing everyone to receive the mark of the beast. Revelation 13:16. He also forced everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive the mark on his right hand or on his forehead. Right hand and forehead. It is surely symbolic. Forcing everyone to receive the mark on the right hand or forehead means the following. 1. Right hand. Recognizing and following the authority of the beast for expediency. 2. Forehead. Recognizing and following the authority of the beast as a believer from personal conviction. Satan will use any method to force all the inhabitants of the world to worship the beast, Revelation 13:8, and make them his slaves. What is the mark of the beast? 1. Problem of defining the mark of the beast. There is no direct phrase "the mark of the beast" presented in the Bible. Instead, it indicates identification that will show submission to the authority of the beast. The verse "no one could buy or sell unless he had the mark," Revelation 13:17, indicates the hardships imposed if man does not submit to the power of the beast. (2) The indication of submitting to the power of the beast. What is the indication that one recognizes and submits to the authority of the beast? It is the defiance of God, by accepting the day and law substituted by the little horn power of Daniel 7, which is identified as the first beast, the papacy, of Revelation 13. The replacement of the day of God, the Sabbath, of the fourth commandment by Sunday, and the change of the law, 10 commandments, denies the power of God. Sunday worship is regarded as the most noticeable mark of papal authority. 3. Sunday worship, mark of the papacy's power. Abolishing the Sabbath, God originated and enacting the first day, Sunday, as the holy day symbolizes the defiance by man. One can see the submission of the world to the Roman Church, when they rest and worship on Sunday like the Roman Church. The Bible says to remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. But the Catholic Church says, no, we abolish the Sabbath and order the keeping of the first day of the week holy. Behold, all the world will submit and obey the order of the Holy Catholic Church. June 1, 1893. The Law of God, X. 20-3-6. 1. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. 2. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them. 3. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. 4. Remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. 5. Honor thy father and thy mother. 6. Thou shalt not kill. 7. Thou shalt not commit adultery. 8. Thou shalt not steal. 9. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. 10. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. The law of God as changed by man. The Convert's Catechism of Catholic Doctrine. 1. I am the Lord thy God. Thou shalt not have strange gods before me. 2. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. 3. Remember that thou keep holy the Lord's day. 4. Honor thy father and thy mother. 5. Thou shalt not kill. 6. Thou shalt not commit adultery. 7. Thou shalt not steal. 8. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. 9. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. 10. Thou shalt not covet anything that is thy neighbor's. 4. Forcing worship on Sunday. Sooner or later the suspension of business on Sunday will be established by force. The last movements have already began. Rapidly increasing crime, the crisis in the world economy, and all sorts of natural disasters, are said to be caused by ignoring the worship of God. To stop the trouble, people will demand decisive action to force religion on all. '5. Pursuit of world peace through forced submission on Sunday. All churches, which worship on Sunday, will try to bring world peace, by enforcing religious values, and Sunday keeping. They will offer solutions to the big problems we face, and a religious union of the whole world by promoting Sunday worship through force if necessary. '6. The special message of the Pope for the observance of Sunday. Pope John Paul II gave a long apostolic message to the world for the 20th anniversary of his inauguration on May 31, 1998. The whole focus was the importance of Sunday keeping and emphasizing the holiness of that day. By relaxing on Sundays, people will find proper balance in their lives. The great pain one goes through in physical matters will be converted to spiritual value, hence, we will be able to see the happiness on the people's faces we live with. Therefore, in our special situation, Sabbath keepers will naturally fight for protection by the law from the duty of keeping Sunday holy. The ones that cannot defend themselves will pause their labors and activities on Sunday and take part of the spiritual and physical joyfulness in needed rest, and instruct their conscience to follow the rest on Sunday in order to attend the Holy Sacrament. '7. Sunday keeping will be the mark of the beast. No one has yet received the mark of the beast. The testing time has not yet come. There are true Christians in every church, including the Roman Catholic Communion. None are condemned, until they have had the light and have seen the obligation of the fourth commandment. But when the decree goes forth enforcing the counterfeit Sabbath, and the loud cry of the third angel Rev. 14:9-11, shall warn men against the worship of the beast and his image, the line will be clearly drawn between the false and the true. Then those who still continue in transgression will receive the mark of the beast. Evangelism 234, 235. The Church is above the Bible, and this transference of Sabbath observance from Saturday to Sunday is proof positive of that fact. Catholic Record, London, Ontario, September 1, 1923. What is the meaning of the number 666? This well-known number, 666, is very confusing. Let's look at the related Bible verse. Revelation 13:18. This calls for wisdom. If anyone has insight, let him calculate the number of the beast, for it is a man's number. His number is 666. Even though it is hard to understand, it is clearly saying that the number of the beast is the number of man. The number of man. First, let's find out what the number of man is. Very often numbers are used as symbols in the Bible. Especially, The number 7 is used as a complete figure. The number 6 is, 1 less than 7, considered as an incomplete figure. When 3 of these incomplete number 6 come together, it becomes a symbol of eternal incompleteness. God is complete, humans are incomplete. Trusting the number 666 is trusting the incomplete human. In other words, it is the figure that indicates humans who are against God. In the old days, when the pagan priests told a person's fortune, they used an astrology chart. Surprisingly, it adds up to each line, horizontally and vertically, and this amulet shows exactly 666. We come to a conclusion that the number of 666 is the number of incomplete man, who is against the complete God. A number of a person's name. The number 666 is the key point in Revelation 13:18. In modern translations it says, "This calls for wisdom. Let him who has understanding reckon the number of the beast, for it is a human number, its number is 666. The first beast is a symbol of power, or a man, who is against God. Until now, we have studied two beasts. The first beast is the Roman Church, and the second beast is America, which will help the first beast. The number 666 is the clue to identify the first beast. We cannot use the number of 666 for just anybody. They must have all the characteristics of the first beast of Revelation 13 and have the name 666 as well. Therefore, applying it as a computer barcode, or to the wrong person, could bring trouble to others. A special name for the Pope. As the above Bible verses said, if we calculate the official name of the Pope, who represents the beast, the number is 666. Is it possible that the number 666 is another name for the Pope? All the cardinals in the world can be candidates for Pope. And they all have the Latin name, Vicarius Filii Dei, which means the Vicar of the Son of God. However, one must truly be selected as the Pope to represent the Roman Church, as the Vicar of the Son of God. The number of the name is 666. Strangely, Vicarius Filii Dei, which is the Latin for Vicar of the Son of God, when we calculate it, is 666. How can the name represent the numeric value? There are some rules on how to calculate the letters as shown in the following table. References to the Webster Dictionary. Confirmation of the name of the Pope as 666. The numeric value 666 can be calculated using the name of the Pope, who represents the Roman Church of the first beast of Revelation 13. The Papacy will attempt to rule the world. By all ways and means, he is going to try to destroy God's true people or make them submit to his authority. Fight between Cain and Abel. The fight between good and evil in the Bible is not the fight between the church and the world, but between people who believe in God in the right way, and people who believe in God in the wrong way. The first religious war that was recorded after Adam was the fight between Cain and Abel. Abel obeyed God and offered the sacrifice God asked of him, but Cain offered his own sacrifice. Cain was angry that God did not accept his sacrifice, so he killed Abel his brother. Like Cain, the fallen religious power will attack God's true people. But truth always triumphs over evil. At first, truth will suffer, but in the end it will be victorious. God's people need to be patient. The following Bible verses are very encouraging. Revelation 13:8-10. All inhabitants of the earth will worship the beast. All whose names have not been written in the book of life belonging to the Lamb that was slain from the creation of the world. He who has an ear, let him hear. If anyone is to go into captivity he will go. If anyone is to be killed with the sword he will be killed. This calls for patient endurance and faithfulness on the part of the saints.